Have you ever wondered what happens the moment your heart stops beating? Not from fear, but from deep, soul-level curiosity. Is it just darkness? Or is there something far greater, something you've forgotten? The truth is, you've done this before, many times, because death isn't the end, it's a doorway, and your soul knows exactly what to do. From the second your physical body shuts down, something ancient and powerful awakens. Your consciousness separates from the body, softly, peacefully, like mist rising from a lake. You are still you, but no longer limited by flesh. And here's where it gets even more mysterious. You begin a journey, one that you agreed to long before this lifetime even began. Yes, you chose this. Not just your death, but your life, your struggles, your lessons, your joy, your pain. None of it is random. In the spirit world, your soul follows a path of light, love, and remembrance. You reconnect with who you truly are, a vast, eternal being of energy and wisdom. And the process that unfolds will change how you view life itself. In this video, we'll walk you through that journey, step by step, from your final breath to the other side and back again. You'll understand what really happens when you die, why your soul keeps returning, and how everything in your life, yes, everything, was chosen for a reason. So take a deep breath. This is not just a story. This is a memory that your soul is ready to remember. The moment of death is not what most people imagine. There's no sudden void, no terrifying darkness, no absolute end. Instead, there's peace, a strange stillness, and then awareness. You may hear your final heartbeat. You may see your last breath leave your body, but you are still there, watching, still conscious, still you. Because what really happens the moment you die is that your soul gently begins its departure. You rise, not upward, not outward, but inward, detached from the pain, the noise, the fear, detached from the body you once called home. And in that quiet space, you realize something stunning. You're more alive now than you've ever felt before. Your senses are heightened. Your thoughts are crystal clear. You feel free. This is the first step in the journey your soul takes every time you die. And yes, you agreed to this long before your human story began. In these early moments after death, many souls remain near the body for a short time. You might see loved ones crying. You might see doctors trying to bring you back. You might even try to speak, not realizing you've already crossed the veil. But soon, something begins to call you, a gentle pull, a vibration, like gravity, but on a soul level. Some describe it as a tunnel of light, others as a glowing presence or a soft voice from beyond. Whatever form it takes, it's not outside of you. It's within you. Your soul recognizes it because it's a part of the plan, a part of what you agreed to before birth. And when you follow that light, that pull, you move effortlessly, not through space, but through frequency, through dimensions, through energy. You begin to shift into what many call the afterlife experience, a place not of death, but of remembering, of reconnecting, of returning. You're not alone here. You never were. Many souls are greeted by guides, ancestors, beings of light. They don't speak in words. They speak in emotion, in knowing, in pure understanding. You feel safe. You feel seen. You feel loved. And in that love, something deep awakens inside you. A memory, a truth, a sense that you've done this before, because you have. Every time you die, you return here. Every time your soul takes the same journey, back to the essence of what you really are. This isn't just death. This is the continuation of your soul's eternal path, and it all begins with that single, quiet moment when the body ends, but the soul remembers. As your soul moves beyond the veil, something extraordinary begins to unfold. You're no longer just drifting, you're being guided, not by force, not by fear, but by love. You arrive in a realm that feels both familiar and infinite. There's no time here, no pressure, only stillness and a deep, knowing presence. And then it begins. The life review. This is not a courtroom. There is no judgment, no punishment. This is not where you are condemned. It is where you are clarified. You begin to relive your life, not as a memory, but as a multidimensional experience. Every choice, every word, every moment, you feel it all again. But here's the part that changes everything. You don't just see your actions from your own eyes. You see them from the eyes of others. When you spoke in anger, you feel how it pierced someone else. When you offered love, you feel how it healed. When you turned away, you feel the loneliness that followed. It's not about guilt, it's about growth. This is your soul learning, because you agreed to this. Before you were born, you knew the risks. You knew Earth was dense, complicated, emotional, but you also knew it was the perfect place for spiritual evolution. You signed a soul contract, a blueprint filled with lessons, people, and possibilities. And now, in the life review, you begin to understand why. You see the hidden patterns, the divine timing, the pain that became purpose, the chaos that sparked change, the people who hurt you, some of whom you chose before birth to play that role so you could grow. And you don't feel hate, you feel understanding, even forgive them. Because from this higher perspective, everything makes sense. This is part of the journey your soul takes every time you die. To see the truth of your life without filters, without fear, so your soul can integrate every experience into wisdom. And it's not just the big events that matter. The small things count just as deeply. The smile to a stranger, the moment you chose honesty, the time you listened when someone just needed to be heard. Every energy you put into the world ripples, and every ripple returns. That's not karma as punishment, that's karma as reflection. This entire process is wrapped in compassion. You're never alone. Guides, soul beings, even your higher self, they're with you, supporting you as you remember who you really are. And the most powerful realization, you chose this life. Every time you die, you come back here, not to be judged, but to understand, to remember, and to evolve. Because your soul isn't here to be perfect. It's here to grow. And this review is how you bloom. As the life review fades into stillness, something deeper begins to stir. A memory, a pull from beyond this lifetime. Not of what you did, but of what you chose before you were ever born. This is where you remember your soul contract. Before you entered this life, before the body, the name, the identity, you were conscious, fully awake, limitless, a soul existing in pure awareness. And in that higher realm, you made a choice. You sat with your guides, your soul family, and your higher self. You reviewed your past incarnations. You saw the growth you had achieved, and what still remained unfinished. Then you crafted a blueprint, not of fate, but of possibility. You chose the lessons your soul needed for its next step, challenges that would test you, people who would trigger you, events that would break you open, just enough to let the light in. This is your soul contract. And yes, you agreed to this. Every time you die, you return to this space. And every time you understand why you chose what you did. You picked your family, not because they were perfect, but because they would shape you. You selected key relationships, some loving, some painful, so you could experience contrast. Even your greatest heartbreaks were written into your story as doorways to awakening. You see, Earth isn't just a planet, it's a school, one of the most intense and accelerated places for spiritual evolution in the universe. And only the bravest souls choose to come here, not for ease, but for expansion. In your soul contract, you also chose your strengths, the gifts you brought into this life: intuition, creativity, resilience, compassion. These were not random. They were tools you packed for the journey. But here's the twist. When you're born, you forget. That forgetting is part of the design. Because without forgetting, there's no real remembering. And the moment you start to awaken, the contract begins to unfold. Every time you die and return to this space, you look back not with regret, but with reverence. You see how much your soul learned from the hardest moments, and how much you grew. This is the journey your soul takes every time you die. Not just death and release, but review, remembrance, and recommitment. And perhaps the most empowering truth of all, you're never forced to reincarnate. You choose to, because your soul is committed to its own growth, not out of obligation, but out of love. So the next time you ask, why is my life the way it is? Remember this. You agreed to this. You chose every chapter, not to suffer, but to become who you truly are. And this contract is still unfolding. Now that your soul contract has been reviewed, now that you remember the why behind your life, there comes a moment of deep silence, a sacred pause, and then a question. Are you ready to return? This is the next phase in the journey your soul takes every time you die. The moment of reincarnation and return. But this time, you're not unconscious. You're fully aware of what you're choosing. You've seen your past life in all its beauty and imperfection. You've felt the lessons soak into your soul like golden light. And now, your soul begins preparing for its next chapter. Reincarnation isn't a punishment. It's an opportunity. Each lifetime is like a classroom. Each return to Earth is another grade in the school of the soul. And yes, you agreed to this. Before you come back, you sit with your guides and revisit your soul blueprint. You decide where you will be born, what type of family will raise you, what kind of body you'll inhabit, its strengths, its limits. You even choose the major challenges you'll face, the ones that will stretch your spirit beyond what it believes is possible. But here's the most beautiful part. You don't come back alone. Your soul travels with others, what many call soul groups. These are souls you've journeyed with before, sometimes as friends, sometimes as lovers, sometimes as enemies, all playing roles to help each other grow. Even those who hurt you deeply may have been part of a higher agreement, not to destroy you, but to awaken something greater within you. And so, the cycle begins again. As your soul prepares for return, you start to slowly forget. This forgetting isn't a flaw. It's part of the contract. Because remembering who you are while inside the illusion is the very essence of spiritual mastery. You pass through dimensions, through light, through vibration, until a heartbeat, a breath, your soul enters a new body, a newborn cries, and the world begins again. A veil is drawn over your memories. The pain, the purpose, the plan, all tucked away in your subconscious. But your soul never truly forgets. It leaves clues through intuition, through dreams, through the magnetic pull toward people, places, and ideas that feel strangely familiar. Because deep down, you've done this before. Every time you die, you return. And every time you return, your soul evolves. This is not a trap. This is a sacred loop of choice, a divine cycle of remembering, forgetting, growing, and returning. And now, you're here again, living this life, watching this video, and maybe beginning to remember, because nothing in your life is random. Nothing is a mistake. You agreed to this, and that realization, that's where true freedom begins. You're here again, a new life, a new body, but something feels missing. You wake up each day with a strange sense that there's more, that life is not what it seems, that behind the noise, the routine, the distractions, something ancient is whispering to you. This is the forgotten truth, the final part of the journey your soul takes every time you die. Because the greatest irony of reincarnation is this: you agreed to forget. You chose to step into a world of illusion, limitation, and uncertainty, all to remember your true power from within it, not by being told, but by rediscovering it piece by piece as you live. That is the game of Earth. That is the sacred challenge. And only the most courageous souls choose to play it. Every time you die, you remember who you are. But every time you're reborn, you forget. So you can experience love as something you choose, not something you're handed. So you can understand light by walking through darkness. So you can taste truth by first losing it. But here's the beautiful part. Your soul never fully forgets, even when your conscious mind is lost in survival mode. Your soul keeps leaving breadcrumbs, synchronicities, gut feelings, moments of déjà vu, dreams that feel more real than waking life. These are activations, tiny cracks in the illusion, reminders that this life is not random, that you agreed to this long before you were born. And if you're watching this video, this very moment might be one of those cracks. You may not remember all the details, the soul contract, the life review, the return. But deep down, something inside you does remember. A flicker of recognition, a pull toward purpose, a quiet voice that says, "Wake up, you've been here before." This is the beginning of soul awakening, because the forgotten truth is not gone. It's simply hidden beneath the noise of the world. And once you begin to look inward, to feel instead of just think, you start to see the design behind the chaos. You remember that death is not the end, that each life is a chapter, not the whole book. That pain is not a punishment. It's part of your evolution, and you begin to see others differently too, as souls, not strangers, as co-creators, not enemies. Each one on their own sacred journey, each one carrying their own amnesia. You remember that we're all just walking each other home. So now the question is no longer, why is this happening to me? It becomes, what is my soul trying to learn from this? And that shift, that tiny change in perception, is where the real transformation begins. Because once you remember who you are, you'll never live the same way again. So now you know. The journey your soul takes every time you die is not an ending. It's a return, a remembering, a sacred cycle of life, death, reflection, and rebirth. You're not just a body. You're not your mistakes. You are a soul, ancient, infinite, and brave, who chose this life with purpose. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it hurts. But none of it is random. because you agreed to this before you were ever born. You chose your path for the growth it would bring, the love you'd discover, the wisdom you'd reclaim from your pain. And the fact that you're here watching this means your soul is beginning to remember. This life is your current classroom, but it's not the first, and it won't be the last. So the next time you're lost, broken, or questioning everything, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, what did I come here to learn? Because buried within every challenge is a hidden lesson, and behind every loss is a soul contract unfolding. You are never alone on this path. Your guides walk with you. Your soul remembers, even when your mind forgets. And now, so do you. Welcome back. Welcome home. If this message stirred something deep within you, like a memory too ancient to name, share it. Someone else out there is ready to remember too.